Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football. Well, I sound a little bit weird because I'm currently trying to stop smoking. Thinking of changing my name to Cash Coaches Football. Let me know what you think, or if you come up with a better name in the comments, let me know. Because Cash Coaches Football is more along to what I'm trying to do on this channel, and not just repeat what you see on the screen, actually give you some insight, which is completely different than pretty much everybody else does on the YouTube. So today we're doing Crystal Palace against Manchester United, and I am going to cover, first off, why Manchester United as a football club are done for the next 5 years. So the problems you've got at United, things like Casemiro, Eriksen, Rafael Varane, all of these players are what you call puff players. Now, I can explain to you quite in depth about what a puff player is. It comes from this idea of Warren Buffett. If you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's a billionaire, and he made his money off what he would call last puffs. So what he would do with companies, he would use what he would call the cigar method. Can he go in and get one puff out of that cigar, make it really good, and then strip it and sell it for parts? And that's how he's made his billions. So think of the players in that way. Can you get one puff out of Rafael Varane and one puff out of Casemiro? Well, what's one puff? What does that mean? 1 year. So you put them on a 2-year contract, you play them for 1 year because you know if they try really hard, they're trying to prove their worth, coming out of Real Madrid, because Real Madrid didn't want them, and Real Madrid keep world-class players. So if you think that they're coming to Man United and they're still world-class, you are a clown. Stop thinking because his name is Christian Eriksen and 10 years ago he played well for Tottenham. Now he's a good player. He couldn't get on the field for Brentford, but now he's playing for Manchester United. That's how bad these signings and these players are. So when you've got someone like a Casemiro, you'd call a one-puff player, or a Rafael Varane, you want to put them on a 2-year deal with an extension of a third. So what does that mean? Right, you're playing them for the first year because, you know, they've got one year fight in them. The second year, they're a bit player because you're actually using them to groom whoever your other replacement really is for them. And then the third year is an extension of their contract, whether or not they stay. But you put them on a 4-year deal. So what does that mean? You've got another 2 years left of these clowns playing. You can't get rid of them because no one's going to buy them because their wages are too high. That means if you're trying to get a replacement, you can't really get anybody up to speed because, well, what are you going to do? Not play these guys and not play with Varane? And even though Varane is okay and Casemiro is just not, you're in this cycle where you've got all these players that aren't good enough, but you need to play them. You can't sell them on. Their contracts are too long. So it's going to be at least another 5-year cycle unless they spend £500 million to repel and get rid of all of these players. Sell them on and get £500 million worth of players in. That'll get you about 6 to 7 decent players. Unless, of course, they get some at 30, 40 million in that sort of range. But they're not going to be able to do that because they're Man United. So they always pay what's called a Man United tax because everyone's going to charge them more money. So you've got this huge problem where United are just going to be on this cycle for a very long time. And if they get the recruitment wrong, that cycle will continue on and on and on. I'll probably do a longer video at the end of the season and actually put some proper edits in instead of me just ranting about how bad it is. But yeah, let's get on to this first goal anyway. And you can see, right, so here's the problem when you've got a central midfielder, Casemiro here, playing as a centre-back. First of all, you shouldn't be doing this in the first place. And this is the problem I'm going to. So if you don't have a young kiddie, who's that kiddie at Liverpool? I was mispronouncing his name the other week. Kwanzaa is. He's some little 19, 20-year-old kiddie coming in, playing centre-back for Liverpool. If you don't have that at Manchester United, what's your academy been doing for the last 5 years? If you can't lean on an academy player to come in and play in the first team at the end of the season, you've got serious problems. And the other part about it is, well, if you've got Casemiro and Johnny Evans, like the problem with Casemiro is he wants to win the ball. You can't really have centre-backs that do that. You really want players that kind of drop off, centre midfielders that just drop off, because as soon as he sees the ball like that, he comes sprinting out and leaves a gap. Not only is it the wrong type of central midfielder to have in there, Casemiro, because you say he's a defensive midfielder. No, he's not. He's an aggressive defensive midfielder, which is a different set of rules and tactics. He's trying to win the ball as much as he can. So let's just move this on so I'll show you what I mean. Bosh, he goes in and he just gets completely done by a little bit of skill. Now, here's the other problem with this. I think it's this little wee chap here in midfield. And the reason they're getting overrun is, again, because you got Christian Eriksen, you got terrible choices in midfield. You shouldn't be playing these players. You shouldn't. They're wearing a Manchester United shirt, and you've got a player, Christian Eriksen, who couldn't play for Brentford, starting for you in midfield. It's just terrible. And if you say it's not managerial decisions, you're wrong. Because if I was managing that, I'd rather have some young kiddie in there that's going to give me a good 45 minutes and replace him with some other young kiddie than an old fart who's just not going to give me anything. It's not worth it. Your job's on the line. Christian Eriksen's not a good football player. He might be if you give him the ball and loads of space and time. He's not 10 years ago, Christian Eriksen. And it's just terrible. And what happens is that goes through your team. When one player doesn't work hard, systematically, other players don't work hard. And footballers don't need an excuse not to work hard. So let's just move this forward because I want to show you this other player that doesn't work hard. And it's Kobbie Mainoo. Right here, I think it's Kobbie Mainoo, right here is tracking this player going for a run. Now, the problem you've got is when you start setting your standards so low like Manchester United have, the good players that were playing, okay, Kobbie Mainoo, he was playing okay, he wasn't playing good, he was playing okay, start setting their standards so low. And that's what's happened here. He can track this, he can make a challenge, but he doesn't. He doesn't run his hardest, he doesn't really go for the ball flat out, and ultimately, they get a goal. Now, look at the distance between Kobbie Mainoo, I'm not sure the Crystal Palace player right here that scores, I think it's not Eze, is it? I think Eze's 10. But, and also, the two Man United defenders have just let him run. No one's even going close to pressure the ball. So when it comes for him to shoot, Kobbie Mainoo's nowhere near him, and the two defenders are nowhere near him. Now, here's the other point. If you know you've got two crap defenders in Johnny Evans and Casemiro, you're playing a different way. You're not getting up at the field so high because you will be exposed, just like they were then. But when you are exposed and you've got a player running at you, someone actually has to challenge him. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo that's running with him for 20 yards could put in a tackle. Maybe. Oh no, I forgot. We're asking too much because he's the new wonder boy and all the fans like him. So you don't actually say what he's doing there is shocking, because that is shocking. Let's get on to the next goal. Another thing before we get on to the next goal is I do have to comment on this because this is not a foul. Keeper's going up, yeah. Rasmus Højlund goes up, his arms go above the keeper's. That doesn't really matter. He's using it to leverage and jump up. If this is a defender and he falls over this pathetically, no one's caring because apparently it's a goalkeeper. Everyone's caring. Now, the other problem is we've seen this be called and we've seen it not been called all season. Arsenal have been doing this with Ben White. I covered that in one of my other videos all season. So you don't know where you stand. If you say it's a goal, yeah, that would make sense because it's been that way. And if you say no, it's not a goal, well, yeah, that makes sense because the Premier League has been doing that. There is no consistency in the Premier League, and that's what everyone gets so upset about. As he jumps up, it's just a little nudge, nothing special, and he just falls over. And to be fair, he's pretty straight. He's not leaning into him. He's not really nudging him or doing anything. The keeper just needs to be stronger. Yeah, not a foul for me though. But you know what? It's the Premier League and they just make up the rules anyway. Okay, a couple of little simple things we're going to talk about here. Sorry about the blurry image. Don't know why it's so bad this week. We've got 4 players that are so far out of position and so far up. Remember, you shouldn't be getting higher and up the field as fast as normal. Why? Because you've got 2 slow, old codgers playing at the back. So you have to be a little bit more defensive. Here's one slow codger, Johnny Evans. He might as well be a traffic cone. Now, if you're a slow old codger and you're playing the footballs, the first thing you want to try to do is take away the space. Remember, the space is the most dangerous thing, not the ball. Why? Because you're not close enough to the 18-yard box for him to score. So all you really need to do is track his run. As he's running towards you, you're dropping with him. So you're taking his space away so he doesn't really do anything. Okay, that's what you're trying to do here. And when he gets close to the 18-yard box, that's when you challenge. That's when you step forward. You don't really want to do it into the 18-yard box, but you want to do it like right on the edge. And sometimes, if he's running, he'll make a mistake along the way. Because I'm telling you right now, if you do this in training, you have a person running with the ball and a person tracking them. I'd say 9 times out of 10, the person just tracking them will win the ball because the person running with the ball will make a mistake. It happens all of the time. It doesn't matter what level you're at. It doesn't matter how good you think you are. As soon as you're having a run at someone under pressure and they just keep backing away, you will make a bad touch. You will do something wrong. You will just inadvertently just tip the ball half a little yard in front, and they'll just be able to win it. And that's what you're looking to do, waiting for that opportunity. For some reason, Johnny Evans' brain falls out of his arse, and he starts to try to tackle him over here. Now, what's the problem with this? All he's got to do is poke it into the space and run around him. What are you doing? This is what happens when you get old and you're useless, or you're getting old and you forget what you're good and bad at, and the coach hasn't reminded you how, look at that gap between that there and the 18-yard box. All he's got to do is put the ball into that space and go around you. Why are you standing your ground there? You fronted yourself up. He's just going to be able to go around you. None of these players are going to be bothered to get back. Now, could they get back? Maybe, but they just can't be bothered. Yeah, and he just walks straight past him. Look, Bush, walk right straight past him. What are you doing there? Now, if you're doing exactly the same thing here, that means when he goes past you, he's here. The difference is he then he's only got that extra, 6 yards of space to turn the corner, get around, and then get a shot off. When you do it here, he's got all this space to run into and get a shot off. It's completely different. And this is the little understanding that, Ten Hag should know, be yelling. This should already be ingrained before the game starts, because you know that this is going to happen when you've got slow defenders. You can't be out there challenging. You can't be doing these things. And even if you are a quick, fast defender, you still just want to run with him and track him back here anyway. So if he goes round you, he's over here and away from the goal. It's overall just terrible. Someone almost gets back just a little bit, and bosh, the ball's in the back of the net. Decent strike, to be fair. I can't really blame the keeper for that one, because it is just a solid strike. The keeper can be at fault for some of these, but not that one. Let's get on to the next goal. A couple of key points about this goal we're going to talk about here. There's not enough pressure on the ball, which is okay-ish, because they're transitioning from defending a corner, trying to get out, and they just push back a little bit. Okay, fine. You can't always be correct, always be in the right position, but you have to be ready for this next ball coming in. But here's the problem we have. These Man United players here start going on their bike and getting out, right? They forget that they're still defending. They're just trying to get out and not have to do with, defending. And then what ends up happening is you watch how many Crystal Palace players end up following the ball in. And the only Man United player that follows and, tries to track the ball out is Casemiro. Watch this. So this is what I'm talking about right here. Look at the difference now. The ball's going back in. So all of those Man United players that were defending here a second ago, 1, 2 have left. They've gone on a walkabout. Why are you leaving? You haven't cleared your lines yet. Yeah, you pushed the ball out the first time, but why are you heading off down the field? You don't have possession of the ball, right? You should all be back here marking. Right now, you've got 2 Crystal Palace players getting in between this Man United player here. 1v1 there, 1v1 there, and you guys have just left all your teammates absolutely hanging because you went, oh no, I don't have to do that. I'm Christian Eriksen. I'm a midfielder. Oh, I don't have to defend. Mismatch here on the back post. To be fair, the Crystal Palace player does a great job of knocking it on through, I think, is it Dallow's legs? Does a really good job. But that's not my concern, because that happens. Okay, it's what can you do after that? Is the middle, have you consolidated the middle? No, you haven't, because your players here, your extra players, where they've kept their extra players up, your extra players went on a walkabout. And this is what I'm talking about. The moment of impact there, because even if that Crystal Palace player doesn't win it, and say it hits Dallow and it comes back and it rebounds, because it's a quality ball in for them to deal with, and it rebounds and still ends up in this area here. And that's what I mean. It doesn't really matter that it was the Crystal Palace player or the Man United player that ends up putting it into this spot, because it's a good ball. Look at who are the first people to tap it in, and all the rest of them are just walking with no idea of what's going on in this game or interest whatsoever. The only one that tries to come back and read it or deal with it is Casemiro. Look, Bush, in he comes, spotting the danger, trying to do something, and the rest of them have no idea. Or what I really believe is they just don't care anymore. So we're back in Clown World at Manchester United coaching courses. What we're going to do is teach 2 idiot midfielders to pressure the ball for no reason right here. Bosh, in we come for no reason. Great, because we can't play a high pressing team. Why? Because, well, we don't really have any pace at the back. We have to really kind of sit in and hold our shape. But what we're going to do, because we don't understand what it means to pressure the ball, we're going to pressure the ball anyway. But coach, when you do, that means this man here will have lots of space, because these idiots are chasing the ball and just a ping through the back, and he's just going to exploit the 2 slow centre-backs because they're far too high up the field. And yeah, we should all just be back in our shape and trying to hit them on the counter, because they're really fast up front and we're really slow at the back. So if they're really fast up front and we're really slow at the back, maybe we shouldn't push out so far. Yeah, don't worry about that though. We're in Clown World. As you can see, that exact thing happens as the ball goes forward. But Casemiro does a good job. He comes over and he wins the ball. And this is where it all goes wrong. 2v1, no one's really here to give him a shout. So right here, he needs just a shout of heels or sideline. Get rid of the ball. Get rid of it. You're in trouble. Everyone here can see that he's in trouble. There's 4 players that can see he's in trouble. No one calls for it. No one explains, to put it out wide. There's not a single shout for this guy here. And they're going to blame him, which, by the way, it is his fault. But they're also to blame as well, because it is a team game. And if you're not telling him what to do here to get rid of this ball, which you could all plainly see what's going on, he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head. He's not quite sure who's who here. He's just And also, when you're a centre midfielder, you do stupid things because your defenders are always there to bail you out. And now he's a defender, and no one's there to bail him out. It's a completely different mindset. So when we move this on here, now is the time it needs to go, and it's all too late. He gets completely done, loses the ball, and here's the sad thing. These 4 or 5 players that are watching all now start to come alive and all start to run. Oh, which they could have done, 30 seconds ago, and he would have helped out Casemiro and got him out of danger. But only now are they reacting when it's, oh my God, we're in trouble again. That's the problem. It's the lack of how fast their brain works in all of these situations. And of course, because all 5 have reacted, they've completely forgot how to hold their shape. So this guy's easily found at the top of the box, and there is no way this keeper should be beaten into that top corner from here on his near post. It should not be happening. If you think that you're a top 10 goalkeeper in the Premier League and you're getting beaten from this range and you're near post into the top corner, think again. You are not a top 10 goalkeeper in the Premier League. And you can't argue with it. You can't say it because this just shouldn't happen. I know Sunday League keepers that would be able to save this. So when this gets shot in here, all keeper, Bosch, he needs to do better. But Man United, they're only going backwards. I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football. Or maybe it'll be Cash Coaches Football. We'll see next time.